Well, I want to just do a 5-minute thing about recovery, okay? This is the fundamental idea to me. It states on page 64 in the big book that it says very clearly, being convinced, which means a present state condition. Yeah, present right now. It's not I was convinced or I'm going to be. Being convinced. So I'm being convinced, hopefully by reviewing your life before sobriety, which is the first step, and then reviewing it after sobriety, which is the second step, and then hopefully the third step has triggered something, and now you're very clear that something has occurred in your life. And that is being convinced that self, and to me the sense of self is not ego. Ego, the sense of self is better captured by what would say it has an ego and what would say it lost an ego. That feeling of being a one who could have an ego and a one who could lose an ego. To me, that's self, right? Self is a sense, yeah? There's a sense of being a doer, the thinker, the feeler, and the constant recognition of the body reinforces it. So the doer, the seer, the thinker, the hearer, the loser, the winner, all that is glued onto the body, and the body becomes the convincing object. Yeah. So now you're Paul, and instead of having the experience of life is happening, you have an interpretation that life's happening to me. Yeah. That's what happens. It's all sort of like a robbery. It happens in time because it cannot happen in fact. It's never occurred. It can only seem that you're seen to be true in dreaming. Yeah? Yeah? That's the only place. It's only in dreaming then the impossible can seem to be possible. Yeah? So the impossible is that you could be a thing. Yeah? But that, in dreaming, that can seem to be possible. Yes? But as a fact, it's impossible. But in dreaming, that which is so can take itself to be something else. So it takes itself to be a body. And not only that, the body now becomes the repository for all the claiming of everything. So it claims to be the doer, it claims to be the thinker, it claims to be the hearer, the seer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher, it claims to have this, it claims all this. So through the claiming tattoos it all onto the body, and now you're this. Yeah? And so that becomes an assumption that's taken to be so, and then we live from there. So every time everything's bothering us, yeah, we try to get out of what's bothering us, but we never get out of the one that's bothered, yes? We never see that, sort of like, it's so simple if you just looked at it. Maybe you had 50 problems in what you call your life, but there's been only one of you having all those problems. That's the biggest problem. You know? It's the one who has the thoughts is the bigger problem than the thoughts. Tell you the truth, yeah. When you were a baby, thoughts were occurring. It wasn't bothering you because there was no sense of you to be bothered. Yeah. Yes, you see. So this is an assumption that gets reinforced by an incredible. It's like Clear Channel. It's like a franchise of radio stations. Let's call it Unclear Channel. And so it's just one radio station, but it has all different, like K Paul, K Tony, K Tim, yeah. But it's playing the same shit. But because it's taken to be K Tim, it seems to be novel and very important and incredible. And the news is totally, completely listened to constantly. So it becomes like a propaganda station. And the head, as we say in recovery, the problem resides in the mind. What is mind, and what would be residing in the mind? You know, to me, the problem is in the thought system. Yes, this is where it thrives. And in the thought system is what leads you to a drink. The drugs don't do it. I mean, alcohol it's not like a siren. No, it's just a fucking liquid in a bottle. The thought system drives you to drink. You want freaking relief from that. But you want to get relief from that as that. That's the dilemma. And that's what it states in our program. Not in the book, I don't think, but in our community. It's a simple warning, which is self can't get out of self. Yeah? Self can't get out of self. And not only there, you go into some of the greatest writings in quote-unquote spirituality, it's mentioned in the same way, in a different way, which is the Buddha can't use the Buddha to find the Buddha. Yes? It's just not going to work. See? The assumption that the Buddha is Steve makes sense that Steve is going to find the Buddha through Buddhism. And it's actually a lot of people have signed up on that path because they're starting from the point of Steve, Bill, Jim, Mary. And from that point, it makes sense. I'm not the Buddha. That's obvious because I'm Jill, Bill, Peter, Paul, Mary. So I like to get some Buddha qualities that I heard about. I never met the person who's like 5,000 years old. But yes, but the drive can be sold every fucking century. Yeah. So now, okay, so I want to, be detached because I'm jealous and people leave me and it drives me fucking crazy. I'm totally bereft and I don't feel like I'm going to be loved. All right, I'm willing to now do shit with the hopes that I'll acquire some qualities that I presupposed Buddha had based on the fact that I don't have them. Or why would I do all this stuff to get something from Buddha if I was the Buddha already? Yeah? This is what happens. Some people probably did the same, they followed the same logic and it failed them and they woke up and they realized, hey, what's looking is what you're looking for. The seeker is the sought. Yes? They got it. They had it where they realized, Jesus Christ, it wasn't because I didn't practice enough. I can never become what I'm already being. Yeah? I can't, my wanting it or my journey to become it is a way of defeating the fact that I'm being it. Yeah? You see? This is what they said. It would be like a warning on a spiritual cigarette pack. You're a spiritual seeker, and suddenly you read it, it says, hey, this is a warning. You can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. You can't use mind to seek mind. You can't use light, L-I, to seek light. Why is that? Because you're light, you're mind, you're Buddha. You can't use what you are to find what you are because you are being what you are. Yes? That's the only point. If you were anything else, you could study about it. You could know it. You could have an understanding of it. But you can't have an understanding of what you are. You can't know what you are. You can't experience what you are. You can't study what you are. All you can do is be what you are. And I'm humbly saying we're being what we are right now, except we don't think so. And there's a lot of faith in the thought system, so we believe the thoughts are more true than the fact of what we are. So the thoughts assume, presuppose, insinuate that we're a body. That's all they do all day. They never even, they just assume it. It's a given. It's not like, it's like they've got to work hard to convince you. They're riffing on the fact that's not a fact that you're a body to begin with. Yeah, it's like if you were a drug addict and I shot up a lot of cocaine, but not one moment in all of that activity did I ever take myself to be cocaine. No. And I mean, I loved it and everything. And if I could have become a cocaine, I should have become with what I did and how much I loved it. But there was a huge barrier because I seemed to be something else. Yeah? And it was very, very clear. But in this disease of seeking, we're starting at the point of being the drug that we're taking. The drug that we're shooting up and ingesting is a mental drug, and it's the obsession with being a self. Being something that's not really much, but it's all that you fucking think about. Yeah? So the weight is way off, and of course, we want to get out of it, we want relief, but the system has us locked in Because you will now try to get out of it as the system. Yes? And you'll run right into that statement, which others have run into. That's why they're warning us by saying self can't get out of self, because we fucking gave it a great try. And after blaming ourselves and beating ourselves up and working harder, we've realized you cannot get out of self as a self. Yeah? And so what's there to do? And a lot of people use recovery like they use a drug. They want to get out of self as a self. What's one to do? Where is the out of self? If I can't get out of it as I take myself to be, and the wanting to get out of it is really a bigger in, what's one to do? It's a fucking huge dilemma. It is. Because now you'll try to sophisticatedly say, well, I'm gonna practice the path of not doing. So but it's still self trying to get out of self. And it's like it says in the big book, when he talks about, the biggest principle, which is the third step, turning one's will and life over to the care of something greater than self, in a sense. It says first, you gotta quit playing God. All right, so here, let's say there's something that's playing God right now, which I would say is selfing, yeah? The mental process, the parasitical movement, whatever you want to call it. It's in the act of playing God all day. It's telling who you are, what you were, what they were, what they are, what they're going to be. It's just pontificating constantly, right? You wake up at 8 in the morning, it gives you the forecast of 4 p.m. Oh, it's gonna fucking suck today. You haven't even gotten up. But you believe it because you have so much faith in it that it creates a sense of fucking total disappointment before you've even been able to be disappointed. You haven't even got up. You're still horizontal. And now you're already disappointed. So this thing that's playing God seems to be, its megaphone is up here, yeah? You're hearing the thoughts loud and clear, and then there's a faith in the thoughts. This is the dilemma. You believe the thoughts. As Jesus says, as you believe, so it is. For a moment there, it is so, especially to you. No one else is fucking flipped out by your thoughts, but you fucking are. Yeah? So here you go. So, all right. So now that which is playing God, here's the message. Or it's reading the book very piously, and it says, all right. So, and it would be really beautiful if it got to the right hearer, the quit playing God. But that which is playing God hears the message, quit playing God. So what does it do? It now tries to quit playing God, but isn't that playing God? So that which is playing God, if it tries to quit playing God, that's playing God. So it can never get out of the situation, can it? Ad infinitum. It goes on and on and on and on. So how is one to get out? One can't get out. What happens is you see, just entertain the possibility, because you've entertained so many that haven't delivered any fucking relief. Here's a novel idea. The solution or the relief is prior to it. Yeah? The relief from self is prior to self, not after self becomes assumed to be you, but by seeing it or just entertaining the possibility, hey, I may not be that. I may not be that which is being assumed all day and presupposed. It's not difficult. Just throw it into the fucking works. Yeah? What happens? If you see that you're not self, then there's no drive to get out of self because you're not in self. Yeah? The whole drive to get out of self is predicated on the belief you're in self. Just like your whole drive to get out of the fear of death is based on the you that is afraid of dying. It isn't based on what you are, it's based on what you're not. But so now we go to classes, how to lose the fear of death. Yeah? But you're shopping for the wrong fucking person. You're not that. You're not the idea that says it's afraid of dying. You just are in the habit of believing it to be you, but it isn't you. That's the solution. Humbly. So the solution is before the problem. If you try to find a solution after the problem, that's a fucking problem. Yeah? Because all the solutions will demand a lot of fucking work because you'll get a little relief, but the problem actually seems to be eating it like a breakfast of champions. You know, it eats all your vigilance, and now you can't even, if you don't meditate in the morning, you believe your whole day's going to suck. What is that? You didn't feel like that when you were 3 years old. Yeah. My mother opened the door, you ran out. There was no, I got to prepare for a big day of playing. Let's see. I just went to playing school for a few months. I think no, it was just fucking, get out of here, pull the shut out. That's all right. I know I got too excited. I'm excited by this because it's fucking relief. And to me, it's turned into the last answer after all these years. And in time, the last answer is a damn good answer because it negates the need of any other answers. Yeah? Now, what's one to do if that's revealed? I would say, in my case, share about it because I'd like to see all of you, not in my company, but I'd like to see all of you travel later. I would. Doesn't mean I want to hang out with you all. You don't want to hang out with me. But I'd like to see you travel later. And I have a great conviction that it's possible because it's happened. It's not, it happened, it's happening. Yeah. There's a little technical difficulty. There hasn't been any exalted state reached. It's just a video fell off the cup. Yeah, there you go. We're trying to record this thing. We can't find our tripod. Oh, no earthquake. All right. Gotta be subdued. The force. Because I'm excited about this, and I've never not been. Paul isn't excited about coming here. Paul's been coming for 20-something years. Paul is over it. It's totally, completely over it. But Paul isn't what's happening, yeah? Paul seems to have a story that it comes here, but as soon as Paul comes here, that's its end of its job for a while. All it has to do is arrive here, seemingly, and when it sits down, then it's like, it's off. Yeah? Something else comes, and something else has come through so many times, I feel like it will never run out, yeah? And it has no concern of how I'm doing. Like, I don't have to be doing good for it to come out. I can be totally fucked up, and it still comes out. I put it to the test tons of times. Yeah, I can be super ill, someone may have left me, have no money, that doesn't matter. If I sit here, and especially if there's new people, because I'm sick and tired of talking to the other people. The new people, I get sort of keen on it because this has a joyous, he wants to express. Why? Because, you know, when you see a good movie, you want to tell people, this is a fucking great movie. And you're not in it. That's why it's such a good movie. You're not in the movie. That's why it goes so well. And because you've fallen upon the exact nature of the wrong. And the exact nature of the wrong, humbly, is an activity that we are entertaining. We are what we're looking for. We are reality. And the only way this dreaming can seem real is if reality takes it to be real. And we're in that activity right now. And you know what? It doesn't want to leave. So this whole idea of trying to get out of the body and fucking transcend, or you're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Probably Thursday will roll in and you'll wake up with some aches or pains and have things to do. It doesn't, you know, people aren't going to stop in their tracks. Oh, the awakened one. They don't give a fucking flying shit. There's nothing to do with it. You don't get any great bonanza, really. You've just lost a little interest in selfing. Or let's say a lot of interest in selfing. And it's allowed. Well, in my own experience, it has allowed an acceptance where it's most needed concerning this topic of Paul, really. The Urban Renewal Project of working on Paul, like forever is over. Yeah, what you see is what you're going to get. It's not much more advancement. I'm not signed up for some extreme radical classes. This is just dog shit awareness. I am awake to the fact that I'm awake. That's simple as that. It's really the only, that's it really. I'm awake to the fact that we're awake. That's all it is. You can seem to be asleep, and my head wants to seem to be asleep all day, but something somewhere in there has been convinced and has seen through it to an extent where I don't care because I can bide my time. This is ending. What I am isn't, yeah? So, and I get a break every night when I go to sleep. So it's not too bad. So you do the best you can during the day. Don't expect too much from this. This does not want to sit on a meditation pillow for 14 hours. It doesn't. It doesn't want to go to the Himalayas. Probably going to have bad stomach if it goes to India. It really doesn't. It just wants to have a nice seat, I'd rather have a pillow right now more than like a fucking realization. That would go more for my relief, a pillow, than a realization. Seriously, no, I don't need anything. I'm fine. I'm joking. I'm like a Spartan. I like it hard. Cheap. It works better. So it's just a beautiful invitation. It was funny because this lady that knows us sent me you ever hear of Ramesh Balsekar? Yes, Ramesh Balsekar. She sent me a link. She says, watch this Ramesh Balsekar video. So I said, all right, put it on. Because I saw Ramesh, and then he's in this little room with a few people. You can't see who he's talking to, but he's calling the person Paul, and then Paul finally says something, and it's me. He goes, what do you do, Paul? I go, as little as possible. So some things haven't changed in 16 years. But there I was, And what he was attempting, from when I just heard it, to tell me was, Paul, and he was calling it the impersonal presence, is there at all times. And sort of like when you go to work, you still know you have a home, right? While you're at work and stuff. You don't have to keep thinking I have a home. There's an understanding. There's a home that you're going to go to after work. He says, well, the same thing. The impersonal presence is always available at all times. And the personal seeming presence doesn't really have to fucking try to work towards it, yeah? Because it's always available at all times. So don't get confused if Paul keeps appearing, because it's appearing in the impersonal. So he was basically giving me a very nice message. I probably was going over my head back then, but I can hear it now because I have that sense, yeah? Because I've given up the idea of really looking for what can't be found anymore. I'm just giving up the idea of that this is going to get this. It's just not. That's not its job, really. Yeah? So you just have a deep understanding. It's not even understanding, it's more of a vision. There's a vision that you're not that. Now, is it on all day, like you're blissed out? No, it hasn't happened to me. But it is sort of like while you're at work, there's home. You have a home. It hasn't, just because you're at work doesn't mean you don't have a home. Yeah? You seem to be at work, but there's a home, and you're not calling every second, do I still have a home? There's a home, there's an assurance, yeah? So that's sort of what it's like. There's an assurance of that which is always available at all times. And actually, in fact, the only real assurance you can ever have is in that, really. That's the deepest assurance, because it's always available at all times, with no requirement necessary to meet it. And not even the requirement of knowing it. You don't even have to fucking know it. Just get the message is in there. Yeah, it's like a guy said in AA. He said, what about the character defects? He was talking to his sponsor. Do they actually get removed? And the guy's sponsor says, of course they do. And just act accordingly. So which comes first? Your belief that they were removed or they were removed? Fucking just go ahead. Yes? You're the dreaming here. Yeah, you can serve this. Yeah. All you need to know is some of the basic pitfalls. The idea that that which is claiming to be you is the quickest process of all processes. So you're not going to get before it with a process. Yeah. The only thing that's going to outdraw the mental state's referring everything to a self is going to be your inherent nature. In other words, timelessness is the solution to all processes. Yeah? Yeah, because in timelessness, that which is very fast pulling the gun, in timelessness, the gun's always out. It can never be outdrawn. So the process cannot produce a self before what you are. It produces a sense of self in front of what you are. Yeah? And constantly broadcasts that it's you and you and you, and then what you are entertains it to be so for a fucking minuscule, no time at all, 90 years. Yeah? And then it just wraps up and goes on as if nothing ever happened, because I don't believe anything that's ever happened here has truly happened. The only thing that's happening is what's observing it all, which is us. Yeah? Not us as Paul. This isn't observing, this is interpreting. This is an interpreter, perceptual, yes? But it's got a bias system already. I'm talking about us, what we are, yeah? That's the only reality. And it's taking things, like in AA, we have an acronym for fear, false evidence appearing real. Very nice one, yeah, because it sounds like most people's heads, yeah. Most people, the head is presenting false evidence with the hopes that it will appear real to who or to what? Us, yeah. We're the reality. See, so there's like a beggar that's offering false appearances, but it can only get to seem to be real if it convinces what's real that they're real. That's it. Yeah. That's what's happening all day. The mental state is constantly presenting false evidence, and the only time it can appear to be real is when it appears to be real to us. Yeah, isn't that the case? So one day something has the ability to ruin you, your day. This let's say a five note thought song, you know, bum 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 bum, fuck. Yeah. The next day the same 5 notes play exact same cadence, yet no effect. Why? Because you were in a better condition the next day and you didn't believe what the note was attempting to convince you of. Yes? So you didn't buy the song, yeah? You didn't sing it all day, and therefore its effect was quite minimal. But if you buy it, there you go, you see? And what is it that's buying it or not? Who cares? You're never going to know that. Yeah? But just start at the point, are you that solidity that's constantly being implied by the thought system? Are you really a thing? You know? Are you really the thinker of all the thoughts? Really? You'd be exhausted, wouldn't you? Let's say if you were in a factory and you were running all the machines, you'd be fucking exhausted. Can you imagine how, you run, physically you're exhausted. You know how much heavier thinking is? And there's only 70,000 thoughts a day, you'd be fucking exhausted. Your head would blow off. Like, that's it. If you were doing it, of course you're not. The thoughts are doing a you. That's what they're doing. When you listen to the thoughts in a certain way, they produce, or they're being used to reinforce the idea that you're a self. A single unit, all-encompassing, the doer, the haver, the loser, the gainer, the this, the that, the center of the universe in a sense. Yeah? And then one thought that drives you crazy, if I see it as yours, I may have some sympathy for you, but it's not contagious. But the same thought, if it comes in this head, this is no head, it's not happening in the head, you know what I mean? But if it comes into this space and it's held as mine, has the ability to ruin my day. When I see it as yours, it has no effect on me, but the same thought held as mine has a lot of power. Where does it have the power from? Us. Stop believing it's thoughts driving you crazy. It's the selfing using thoughts to drive you crazy. If you don't get to the exact nature wrong, you're not going to have radical relief, obviously. If you put the wrong ointment, if you think you have psoriasis and you don't, and you keep putting psoriasis ointment on it, you're not going to get any relief, even though you're following the instruction completely because you've diagnosed it incorrectly. If you finally try something else and you may have a real, oh, this will never work, but put the fucking shit on, you know? And then you read and it says, oh, this was for eczema, so now you're clear, by being relieved of eczema, you know you had eczema. The same thing, when you're relieved of alcoholism, you'll know the components of alcoholism. You're not going to know them while you're under its influence. No fucking way. You know the problem from the solution. That's the only way you can truly see it. Just like you can only know gravity, really have a sense of what gravity is by its absence. Yeah, because you've been under it for so long, if you were removed from it, you would know exactly what gravity was, though while you've been under its influence for so long, you had no fucking idea. You kept blaming hills and staircases and shit like that for its effects. But it was gravity, yeah? But as soon as you see it from its absence, yeah, when you see it from the relief, you know the fucking problem. And the problem, humbly to me, it would be too slow to be a thing. It's an activity. And mind is very fucking fast. Yeah? But there's something that's moving at much faster speed than the mind, the mental states, which is bigger mind or beingness. Yeah? It's moving so fast it looks like it's completely still. There you go. Get a little of that flavor. And then you know what? It will slow the mental state down. You'll see it for what it is, and it's an activity. Yeah. And activities, when you hear something as an activity, what does it set off? The possibility that it can stop. Activities stop usually, yeah? Like running, you don't live, I'm a runner 24/7, you know? Running stops occasionally because it's an activity, yeah? But if you keep calling it you won't see the quality that you need to see, which it is an activity. When you see it as something that's happening, it may not seem to have happened for you. Yeah. Then you're clearer, and then AA gets illuminated unbelievably. AA, the beauty of AA is truly registered from the solution. When you get relief from the bondage of self, you see the incredible beauty of what AA is here. Really amazing. Unbelievably amazing. To have the problem not exist for you for today is a damn freaking good solution. And in one sense, I haven't had the problem exist for me for 30 years. Because that urge that I had all the time to get out of myself was removed. If I had a super strong urge, I would have probably got loaded, to tell the truth, but I just haven't had any. Yeah? It wasn't like I overcame anything, it was removed. Something, a radioisotope that was really generating the fucking really, really heavy duty fucking obsessiveness. I mean, that little nuclear power plant was taken out and has never been turned on again. What does that imply so much to me? I don't just stop there. My mind just goes off. When big M mind demonstrates here, don't fucking box it up. Don't put a period at the end of it. Let the mind reveal more and more. That's why I like the idea in AA to get to the point where you have a higher power of its own understanding. So much more powerful than a higher power of my or your understanding. Because our understandings are we're like a very small frame. That's what self-centeredness is. It just frames everything. Even big things get framed and they seem small. For that to seem big, you know. So even the biggest no thing has to seem small so that selfing can seem big, because that's its drive. That which is playing God wants to override all gods. Yeah. Just if you're listening to the talks and they're working, keep listening to them. It's the whole point. I don't get it with people. Like some people tell me, oh, you know, it's really great to be around you. I said, well then fucking be around me more. Fuck, if I found someone that I thought was really great to be, I'd be right fucking there, like in that India thing. Because I went to see people that their words inspired me. I didn't follow. I went and fucking saw them and sat with them. Yeah. It just seems like total logic, you know. I mean, I love these talks. That's why we keep having them. Because I can't hear it anywhere else, or if I did, I'd have to pay money or something. You know? It just seems impractical, because I don't see them as being any different than us. Yeah. You have the ability to convey the message. There's no one who has the message. There's one who is being used for the message to come through. That's all it is. And I mean, a lot of people, no one that knows me thinks I'm the message. Very clear line of message. Yeah? The ones who get, when I go out to dinner, I'm taking a dinner, it's for the message, not the message. When someone buys me a latte, it's not for me, it's the message. It's the message. And if you're new in AA, man, just sense that there's a statement in AA that I disagree with, which is you have to have it to give it away. I believe if you're willing to give it away, you'll have it. That's my experience, yeah? So, you know, don't you know when you work with new people, some incredible wisdom can come through you. It's not for you, it's for the message, yeah? It's being of service, brings out the best in us. Being available to be used, you'll be used. Yeah? Yeah. So, all right, any questions tonight? Yes?
When you said, you know, just entertain the possibility that it may not be you, right?
Yeah.
You know, the thing in here, this one. You know, as soon as I hear something like that, you know, thoughts come like fast, saying that, you know, this is like, as though I'm trying to escape some responsibility, and you know, as I'm going to offend the universe or something, you know, it's kind of a way out I'm seeking. I shouldn't be doing that, you know. I don't know, it's conditioning or whatever, but you know, there is a resistance to entertain this
For sure
message. So,
what's the system going to do that's threatened? Yeah? So if the system hears a solution that's worthy of a solution, there's obviously resistance is going to arise. Yeah? This is what happened in Dublin. I was in Ireland, and a guy came to these talks I was giving, and he comes in and he says, he was like a guest for that day, because people had to pay. It was a long thing, but whatever. So then he starts talking about the idea of being, not being a body. And he says, that's impossible to get. And I said, of course, as a body. The body cannot comprehend not being a body. So I said, but maybe you're not that which is speaking right now. Maybe you're prior to what's speaking, yeah? Maybe that has no problem not being a body, because it's not a body. It's only, this is why I make this joke. But we could have a 3-day retreat where we would chant, I'm not a body, for 3 days. But what's not a body doesn't need to chant it's not a body. What's chanting not to be a body is a body. The only thing that wants to get out of a body right now is a body. That's the dilemma. That's why self can't get out of self. Because that which you believe is speaking as you wants to get out of itself, but as itself. That's why it fails. Yeah? You have to see, after the second leap, you're in the pond. You have to see, maybe you're not that which is afraid of dying. That's all. It's not changing the fear of dying. Why would you want to deny something that's arising? It's pointless. Hey, I'm afraid of dying. But are you that I that's so nonchalantly assumed to be you? Are you that which is afraid of dying? If you're not, guess what happens? You get to live around the fear of dying in a much more lighter, nicer manner. Yeah. what we're trying to do is deny something that our perceptions have seen to be so. It's pointless trying to convince the body it's not a body. It's pointless to try to convince Paul that it doesn't have free will. Because Paul thinks it's going to order oxtail instead of veggie curry. So it sounds like I have free will. He doesn't. You know? Why would you want to... See, this message isn't for you. It never has been. Yeah? I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to what I know you are. Yeah? With the hopes that it will get that it's not you. I'm not talking to you about what you are, because that has gone fucking nowhere. Yeah? Then you just get knowledge and then you double fuck yourself. Yeah? Now you want to become a non-self as a self. It's unbelievable. Really, I do. I use this one example that was perfect though. Person who had too much of this non-duality in his head calls me up and his girlfriend left. But he can't say it. His girlfriend left because there is no girlfriend. And there was no one she left. And it went on for like 20 minutes. It was like a living pretzel. He was just getting himself so fucked. And all he wanted to do was cry and say, "Oh, I'm just so sad that you're fucking far out." I'm going to save a 20-minute phone call. Yeah. What wants not to be a self is the self. Yeah. That's what doesn't want to be a self. What else could it be? Do you think you're going to arrive somewhere? Of course you are. But not where you want to arrive at. Because wherever you arrive, you're going to be there. And then see, this is what happened to me. I used to do the couch thing. I won't do the whole thing, but the mental state is invalidating here, basically, with mythical ideas of there. Maybe a past there or a future there. Yes? So here gets invalidated as not being enough, and I'm going to withhold myself because I know there's a there coming. A better there than here. That's all I care about. So then, okay, maybe you work hard to leave here to get to there. But unfortunately, you're going to run into a fact along the way, which is when you arrive there, what happens? It's seen as here. Yeah? Whatever there you ever arrive at, no matter how far in the future or how many years in the past, well, you can't arrive back there. But whenever you arrive there, what is it immediately seen as? Here. There's no fucking escape. You're not getting out of here. Yeah, try it. I've tried hard. I have. With a lot of men, with a lot of modalities. Some more, I worked harder than others, but some I was fucking very, very good at. And I'm here to tell you, you cannot transcend an imaginary place. That which is dreamt is never going to transcend the dreaming and be there. If you seem to get out of the dreaming and you're still there, that's dreaming. As soon as you arrive at the solution, that ain't the solution. As soon as you're there,
shooting party.
yes.
That couch example was very powerful for me because that, and I could really identify with it because that's how my mind works. I work hard towards getting something. When I get that, new thing starts.
That's right. Yes, of course. Well, the thing is, it's confronted with a lot of time on its hands. So what is that going to do? Okay, the couch will do it. The lamp will do it. The lamp couch combo will do it. Yeah, and because we're trying to make it through. This is a very incredible fucking event where you can feel great right now, but you've got a minute from now looming over you. There's a lot of pressure to keep feeling good, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge seemingly, and it seems to be, it's on your shoulders, so fucking no one else is making you feel that good most of the time. So it's a fucking, who wouldn't want to shy away from that task? Day in and day out. You know, you can have everything right, and then ping, like a spring, it just pops over. You get the call from the IRS, and the fucking whole thing goes up. You know, you go into a secluded, like cocoon, like a retreat, and everything's great. As soon as you leave, you get home, there's fucking letters, you know, fugitive squad, please surrender to the police in New York. That's what they did to me once. I've been away for 15 years. I get a letter from Nassau County titled on the front, Fugitive Squad, and then they tell me, we want you to surrender at the Mineola Courthouse immediately. Oh yeah, right on the phone, calling United. I'll be right there. It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. So I called my brother-in-law, who's a lawyer for a lawyer. And I said, hey, can you check out what they got on me still? I thought all this was over. And he looked at it and he says, oh yeah, there's a warrant still out. But it's so old, they're ready to throw it out, so they make one final stab, like the hopes of, you know, the person would fly back and give himself up. And then it's dismissed because it's like 30-something years old. They do this usually, like they'll offer you a washing machine. You ever hear them? There's a big TV giveaway, and then all these felons go in there to get their free TV and they get arrested. So like, oh yeah. This is what they do. So people like, this one, they weren't offering me anything. It was like, you gotta go to jail. Can I get the red eye? I want to get there at 8 in the morning. I don't want to be late for my first day of a 6-month sentence. It was sort of weird. I don't know where that came from, but whatever. But hey, here's the message, yeah? If you're in AA, this will illuminate it greatly. It really will. AA is an incredible way of life to really deal with the stickiness of time with a volatile action figure. This action figure, under the effects of time, gets bored and then wants to do something. And then what it usually goes to do produces consequences. It feels it doesn't deserve the misfortune that arises. So it gets upset, but it keeps going back to the same Greek oracle to get the next thing to do, and so on and so forth. And then you're in jail, or you're fucking, like for me, run over by a car, and having that affect me for the last 38 years, you know, when I was safely at home at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night in freezing New York. My head was anxious and irritable, restless, decided to go back to a bar that I'd already been to, where no one was at, thinking a big party had erupted and I was going to meet my future fairy princess. Whatever, fucking insane advertising. And then I met a Monte Carlo, Chevy Monte Carlo, in a very rude manner. But now it's affected my apparatus for 38 years, every fucking day. You know, the accent. That was just one little stream of thought. I had tons of them, and they produced tons of consequences that left a lot of tattoos on this. Thank God I'm not this. Because, you know, if you believed the tattoos, you would have given up all hope and just said, fuck, I'm just going to stay loaded until the next time I go to jail or die or go to an institution. Because you would see a seemingly hopeless state as a hopeless state. And that's what alcoholism truly wants. That is the awakening in alcoholism, is seeing a seemingly hopeless state a hopeless state. Because if it's a hopeless state, you're going to get loaded. Why would you hope not? It makes total sense to the logic. If this is fucking hopeless and it's never going to get any better, I want to go oblivious now. I just want to stay loaded until the shit hits the fan again. But the seemingly hopeless, it's appearing to be true to us. Everything is. Everything appears to be true or false to us. Yeah, so, yes, you have a question?
I think so. Knowing what you know now, the traveling later, and that moment when you had the thought, I'm going to go back to the bar. But going to the other one about, really there is, I'm assuming, I'm interpreting that there's really no free will. So they couldn't have been any different than it was. Is that correct?
Of course not, but they could have been different before they were.
Pardon?
They could have been different before they were. Could have been a different thing. Not saying I had any say in the matter, but the possibility of them being different was completely there before it occurred.
Oh,
Yes,
is it? Oh,
I believe so.
okay.
Yeah.
That's the answer to the question that keeps rolling around. Could have been something else.
Yeah.
So what? But is it that is it only a choice if you know that there's a choice? A different choice?
There isn't a choice. There isn't anyone to choose.
Right.
But I would say,
Right.
who knows if there's choice or not.
Right.
But the idea that you have a choice, there isn't anyone to choose.
Correct.
But this thing, if there's this thing, it has free will.
Oh,
So why do you want to convince this that it doesn't have free will when its source code is based on it having free will? Its whole, what is that, reason beyond, what's that French statement? Raison something for living is based on it having free will and being the doer and that. You're working way too hard to convince what's not going to be stay convinced. You're not going to convince this that it's not this.
okay,
It's
but
pointless. Just go there. Yeah.
that's helpful. Thank you.
So free will is, like Ramana Maharshi, a great master, says, if there's the sense of individualization, which has to be based on a body, free will comes along with it. Yeah, that's how it goes. So just
Like don't fight the river.
exactly, and this doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
You know you have free will or not, doesn't matter. It's going to go on as it goes on.
Choices choices are still being made.
Who knows? Like, who knows? I don't even believe. You could say some choices. Let's say a direction or something happens now, but its meaning has nothing to do with now. It comes in the dream later. Yes. So like something happens and you don't get what you want now, and it seems like a real drag, but then it proves to be incredible wisdom or something that you didn't get that then. So you think, well, how can the future thing apply to that? Yeah, this is all happening all at one time, dreaming. Yeah. Dreaming, it's a verb. This is not a dream. It's not like, like get a GPS, all right, 500 feet dream to the right, all right, you're almost there, right, dream. No, there's not a dream, there's dreaming. Yeah, it's an activity that has no beginning or end, and it doesn't become anything. It's just becoming and unbecoming all day. Yeah.
That's similar to the mental activity is an activity.
The mental activity is constantly trying to become and unbecome. Yeah. It's agitated. Why would you waste time trying to relieve what's agitated from its agitation? That would be more agitation. Yeah. Just see it's not you. Like I was at a meeting today and they were talking about happiness, and I said, I've lost the interest in acquiring happiness. It's fucking pointless. Yeah, give me contentment any day. Just be content and have a living word called enough in your life, where you have a level of enoughness, and then everything's pretty chilled out. That's this I'm talking about. The value, let's say in awareness, which is all there is. There's no value in awareness, knowing it's aware. Yeah, the value is here when we can seem to forget it. Yeah, then that which is unforgettable can seem to be forgotten by itself here. Therefore, here it has value. Yeah, so because it can seem not to be important here, it has huge value. The ordinariness of just being conscious of being conscious, so to speak. Before the whole narrative occurs and all the meaning. You have to admit, everyone's day is drenched with a lot of meaning. And really, most of it's totally irrelevant. Yeah? Yeah? Yet we're just throwing meaning like fucking unbelievable. I mean, like 8 layers of icing on fucking, shit cake all day. A lot of people. I mean, I have to hear it sometimes when they go on and on and on. It's a deal we have. You'll take my shit to seem to be important. I'll take yours. All right, that's it, I think. No, we don't need any questions, do we? Oh, one more? All right.
I have a question. So, are you suggesting that the bondage of self is a bit of a conundrum because we acknowledge the self